Dear child, listen gently and let your breath slow as you take this in. Before anything else, allow this truth to be clear in your heart. This is a spiritual reflection, not a prediction. Take what resonates with your spirit and release what does not. This message is not meant to rush you, excite you, or pull you into expectation. It is meant to ground you, steady you, and help you understand what has been unfolding quietly beyond your awareness. There are moments in life when the most important things happen out of sight. Not everything that shapes your future announces itself loudly. Some of the deepest movements happen in silence, in places you never enter, in conversations you never hear, in prayers whispered when no one else is watching. And one of those moments happened because of you. In a private place, when distractions fell away and pride could no longer protect them, they prayed to marry you, not casually, not impulsively, not as a romantic fantasy. They prayed with honesty, with fear, with humility. They prayed when they could no longer pretend they were unaffected by you. They prayed when they realized that what they felt was not light, not temporary, not something to play with. They prayed because they finally understood that loving you would require more than desire. It would require responsibility. You never heard those prayers. You were never meant to. But heaven did. Every quiet word, every tear, every pause filled with uncertainty was seen, and God responded, not by rushing events forward, but by slowing them down and working deeper. This is why things may have felt like they shifted without explanation, why chaos softened into calm, why urgency dissolved into a strange sense of protection around your heart. That kind of peace does not come from disconnection. It comes from divine intervention. Sometimes what feels like distance is actually God stepping in between two people so that what is being built does not collapse under immaturity. They did not pray to possess you. They did not pray to claim you quickly before someone else could. They prayed for permission to be worthy of you. They prayed for growth. They prayed for clarity. They prayed for the ability to love you without damaging you. They prayed to become someone who could stand beside you without shrinking or controlling you. Deep down, they knew something important. You were not someone they could approach casually. You were not someone they could enter lightly, halfway healed, halfway ready, halfway present. And that realization brought fear, because fear always surfaces when responsibility is required. So instead of coming to you with confusion, they went to God. They asked questions they were afraid to answer on their own. Am I ready? Can I lead? Can I stay? Can I choose without running? Can I protect what is sacred instead of ruining it with impatience? These were not comfortable prayers. They were confronting prayers, and God takes prayers like that seriously. While those prayers were being spoken in secret, something else was happening at the same time. You were being refined too. God does not prepare one heart at the expense of another. While they were being humbled, you were being strengthened. While they were being stripped of illusions, you were learning how to stand without leaning. You were learning how to stop chasing clarity, how to stop negotiating your worth, how to stop forcing timelines. You were learning how to choose peace even when answers were delayed. That growth did not happen accidentally. It was necessary. There is a difference between waiting in anxiety and waiting in trust. At some point, you crossed that line. You stopped gripping the outcome. You stopped demanding reassurance. You stopped shrinking yourself just to keep a connection alive. And that shift mattered more than you realize, because when you became peaceful, something changed in them too. They realized you were no longer waiting the same way. You were no longer guaranteed. And that realization carried weight. It humbled them. It forced them to confront the truth that if they wanted to be part of your future, they would have to rise to meet it. God did not answer their prayers by forcing a reunion. God answered their prayers by demanding growth, by removing distractions, by confronting avoidance, by slowing them down until they could build something stable instead of emotional. And you felt that slowing as space. But it was not abandonment, it was mercy. Love that is rushed becomes heavy. Love that is prepared becomes safe. If they had come to you before those prayers were answered, you would have carried the weight of their immaturity. You would have carried their fear, their inconsistency, their unresolved patterns. God protected you from that burden. So the pause was protection. The silence was preparation. The distance was refinement. Now, you may not yet see the full shape of what God is doing, but you feel the outcome. Peace where there used to be anxiety. Groundedness where there used to be longing. Calm where there used to be emotional spirals. This is how you recognize God's involvement. God does not produce constant confusion when He is aligning things. God produces clarity, stability, and peace. What matters now is not words, promises, or emotional declarations. What matters is fruit. Watch for consistency. Watch for humility. Watch for responsibility. Watch for presence that does not take but builds. If God is truly preparing someone, it will show over time, not in dramatic gestures, but in steady change. And hear this clearly, without fear. If marriage is the outcome, it will arrive with peace, not pressure. It will feel safe, not chaotic. It will not require you to shrink, convince, or rush. And if release is the outcome, that too will come with peace. God does not confuse His children with what is meant for them. Peace is always the confirmation you are not behind. You did not miss your moment. You did not ruin anything by choosing peace. Your waiting was not wasted. It refined you. It strengthened you. It taught you how to trust without proof and love without attachment. What was prayed in secret is being handled with care. God does not rush sacred things. He protects them. He purifies them. He prepares them. What He builds quietly is meant to last through storms. So remain present. Stay aligned. Stay peaceful. Stay faithful. Do not interrogate the future. Do not lower your discernment to hurry a promise. You are already positioned exactly where you need to be. What comes next will meet you in truth, not urgency, in clarity, not confusion, in peace, not pressure. And when it finally steps into the light, you will understand why God protected you from knowing too much too soon. It was not being delayed, it was being prepared. They noticed the change in you even before they ever prayed about it. They felt it before it was spoken. They saw how you became calmer, more grounded, less willing to sit inside confusion. You stopped reacting the same way. You stopped chasing reassurance the same way. Your energy shifted from questioning to knowing, from urgency to stillness. And that change unsettled them at first, because when someone becomes steady, it exposes what is unstable in others. At first, it frightened them. because they realized you were no longer operating from fear or emotional dependence. Then it sobered them because they understood something very clearly. If they truly wanted a future with you, they could no longer approach you from ego, avoidance, pride, or half commitment. The version of you that emerged required maturity, not excuses. That is why they prayed, not to feel better for a moment, not to silence guilt, not to get a quick answer. They prayed because deep down they knew words would not fix what needed healing. Promises would not fix it. Apologies without change would not fix it. Only real transformation could. Only growth could. Only God could do what they could not do on their own. And when God answered, he did not answer by making things easier. He answered by removing shortcuts. He answered by slowing the process. He answered by forcing depth where there used to be surface level intention. Dear child, this is why you must not rush now. What God prepares slowly is not meant to be handled quickly. Anything sacred that is rushed becomes fragile. Anything holy that is hurried becomes vulnerable to being mishandled. God is not delaying you to punish you. He is protecting what is being formed, whether the outcome is union or release. The path God is taking will lead you into peace, not confusion. You are not meant to chase clarity anymore. There was a time when you felt you had to analyze every sign, decode every silence, interpret every emotional shift. But that season is ending. God is moving you into a new posture where clarity comes to you, where peace meets you without effort, where revelation arrives without anxiety. Scripture says the revelation waits for an appointed time. That appointed time is not emotional readiness, it is spiritual alignment. It is when hearts are safe. It is when intentions are clean. It is when actions and words finally agree. So if you feel moments where the connection feels close again, and then moments where space returns, do not be disturbed. God often tests stability before allowing something lasting to take form. Stability asks whether you can remain peaceful even when you do not know the outcome, whether you can stay grounded even when answers are delayed, whether you can trust without forcing control. And you are doing that now. That is why this season feels different. That is why you feel less reactive, less anxious, less tempted to push for clarity. It is not because you stopped caring. It is because you started trusting. Hear this clearly. If they come forward, it will not be with confusion. It will not be with excuses. It will not be with pressure, emotional bargaining, or mixed signals. If it is an answered prayer, it will come with humility, accountability, patience, and consistency. Anything else is not the answer. Anything else is the past trying to return in a new disguise. You do not need to ask what they prayed. You do not need to demand explanations. You do not need to interrogate the process. Prayer answered always leaves fingerprints. It shows up in behavior. It shows up in choices. It shows up in fruit. Lives reveal prayers. When God is involved, change becomes visible. Wisdom is proven by how a person lives, not by what they promise. This is why this is not a season to analyze every sign. It is a season to remain grounded. Grounded people are not shaken by delay. Grounded people do not panic when time stretches. Grounded people do not trade peace for obsession. They stay steady because they know God is working even when the work is quiet. If marriage is meant, it will come when both hearts are safe, not just attracted, not just emotional, not just longing, safe, stable, mature. If release is meant, it will come when your heart is fully at rest, not confused, not resentful, not desperate. God does not confuse his children. You will know, and until you know, you are not meant to abandon your peace trying to force an outcome. Do not downgrade your discernment to keep someone close. Do not reopen healed wounds to prove love. Do not betray yourself to preserve a connection. Love that is prayed for will never require self-betrayal. Love that comes from God honors your healing. It does not compete with it. While they prayed in secret, God was also working in secret. Silence does not mean nothing is happening. Silence is often where God does his deepest work. God was rearranging priorities, closing doors that distracted them, removing habits that weakened intention, exposing immaturity that could not remain hidden if covenant was the goal. God does not allow someone to pray serious prayers while remaining unchanged. Those prayers demanded growth, and growth required discomfort. That is why they may seem more serious now, more thoughtful, less impulsive. That is not coincidence. God was teaching them restraint. God was teaching them how not to rush what is sacred. God was teaching them that desire without discipline destroys what it claims to love. Discipline had to form first. Preparation had to come before promise. They stopped only imagining the future and started preparing for it. Preparation is quiet, but it is powerful. You may have felt moments where the connection felt paused, like something unseen was saying, "Not yet." That pause was not rejection, it was protection. God does not allow holy things to be mishandled. He delays what would break if it arrived too early. If God revealed everything too soon, it would have pulled you into expectation instead of trust. Expectation pressures love, trust protects it. So God kept certain things hidden to guard your heart. Hidden prayers are often answered through visible transformation, not immediate connection. Watch the transformation. Responsibility replacing avoidance. Consistency replacing comfort. Clarity replacing silence. Those changes are answers to prayer. You are not meant to hold your breath while waiting. You are meant to live. You are meant to remain present. You are meant to stay obedient to peace. Peace is not passive. Peace is alignment. Peace is strength. Peace is protection. God is guarding your heart right now. If marriage is the outcome, it will feel like safety, not chaos. If release is the outcome, it will feel like freedom, not loss. Either way, you are not being misled. Guidance does not always shout. Sometimes simply removes unrest. Sometimes it settles your spirit so you stop chasing what God is already handling. Stay in the calm. Calm is not the absence of movement. Calm is the sign that movement is aligned. What God is doing does not need your anticipation. It needs your trust. It needs your availability without anxiety, without pressure, without forcing. What comes next will not test your worth. It will honor it. It will respect your healing. It will match the peace God has been building in you. Nothing about what is coming will require you to abandon yourself. It will meet you where you are and feel clean. Stay present. Stay faithful. Stay aligned. God heard the secret prayers. God is answering with wisdom. Nothing is missing. Nothing is late. Nothing is wasted. What God prepares in secret, He reveals in peace. Let your heart remain soft but steady, because what is unfolding now does not need your effort. It needs your trust.